I decided what?
All right. It is go time.
We're green. Welcome back to Unverified. Hello, everybody. It's Portland week. It's the week that we crown a champion, and absolutely no one's talking about that right now, unfortunately. So I tweeted it out. It's the most IndyCar thing of all time to catch a PR strafe through nothing that they do, and there you go. It's exactly what happened. I would remind everyone that the social media admins do not control the legal department, and that's my statement on that. Hello, Tony. Hello, Kyle. Hello. How are we doing, boys?
Hello, David. A lot to talk about since we left off last week. You were up in Road America. IndyCar got bought out. At least a third of IndyCar got bought out by Fox, and what was a move that seemingly nobody knew about. It was pretty much on the hush-hush, it seemed like, until it was leaked, and then the Wall Street Journal had that. We've got that to discuss. As you mentioned, we've got Alex Palou going for yet another championship this weekend, and more than likely we'll wrap it up, which we'll see how that affects the ratings moving forward. The final two races of the season being on ovals. I want to ask your guys what everybody's opinion is on going back to faster ovals. You know, we talk about Fox promoting the series as the fastest racing in the world, and we only go 200 miles an hour, 9-10 days a year. So I want to get into that discussion a little bit as well. I know you had a big IMSA Riz weekend up at Road America, and Kit got in the go-kart. Scott Dixon's kid was out of Newcastle. Kit was ripping laps in the go-kart. So the next generation already strapping in to take over here in the next decade or two.
Yeah, we'll see that in about 10 years.
Yeah, and I'll be the one covering it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll be the one there. Yeah, that was actually a funny story from last week. If you saw my Twitter, I was the Kart Chaser tent took some wind and rain on it was last Wednesday, and I had to go out to Newcastle to fix it. And I'm like a knee deep in water, like with a bucket, trying to bucket water out of the top of this tent. And Scott Dixon and Kit walked by because Kit was doing some test laps for what was the race this weekend. And there I am, shoeless, in a foot of water. Hi, Scott. How you doing? It's great. It's a great week. What a weird Thursday. Yeah.
What's up, Sam, Allie, Stymie, James, New Shot Media, everybody who's in here? Yeah. About 45 minutes ago, there was an AI-generated IndyCar, the Speedway Slammer up in, I'm going to call it northern Indiana, northeast Indiana, Miami County, I believe, which is up by the Grissom Air Force Base. If you've ever driven from here to South Bend, you go by. So we can touch that as much as we want, or we can stay the hell away from it. But I thought it was odd, and I also thought it was odd that the number they chose was number 5 to post on there. And God, it just was. I'm just going to call it odd. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to call it odd. I think that's probably the best way to leave it.
Here's what I'm going to say. This is my one comment about it. AI is getting a little bit scary because if you look closely at that image, it's very obviously a Scott Dixon car. And what is Scott Dixon's nickname?
Yeah.
All right. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's it. that's my comment. That's my comment.
What's been the most uncomfortable post in the last week? Is it the IndyCar final with the calligraphy or the cursive, if you will, that did not look like an F, it looked like an A?
It took me a minute.
This post that we saw earlier.
Oh, that spread like wildfire at Road America, by the way. That was the talk of the town, that post. They should not have taken that down, by the way, because it was the talk of the town. No, Tony, what has been making me uncomfortable is how much you've been fighting with people on Twitter. That's, my God, man. You have one weekend without IndyCar, and you decide that this is it. We're throwing the poop out of the cage. We've decided we're just going to do it. I mean,
Look, it's been going on for a while, and unfortunately, you get a lot of people. They all seem to be under the age of 25. They all seem to have their whatever they call them, their verbs or their he, him, her, whatevers. And they always hide behind something that's not a photo of themselves, and then they come after me saying that I just want, I need more mentions. I don't get paid anything off Twitter, so I don't really give a shit if you're paying attention to what I'm saying or not. As far as the actual point to this is the fact that we have a safe IndyCar. We don't want to see drivers hurt or dead, but unfortunately, crashes happen. Crashes happen at Road America. Crashes have happened at Toronto. Look at the crash that we had at Gateway with Joseph Newgarden. Like, when you're going 150 plus miles an hour in a pack of 10, 12, 15, 20, 25 other cars, something is going to happen. It happens every day on 465, and it's going to happen in racing. But only saying, oh, well, I don't want to go to other tracks. Well, you're okay with them going to Indianapolis 500 and racing and having, yes, they have 10, 12 days of practice. I understand that. My suggestion just simply is the fact that they need to look at tracks where they could push and go over 200 miles an hour. I mean, this is a very safe car. And it's one of those things where people are saying, well, I don't want to see somebody dead in 4K. And, you know, why do we need to risk this to hurt some drivers? And it's like, okay, you talk about a Michigan, or you talk about a Kentucky or Chicagoland, or maybe any of these high-speed ovals, and they just automatically assume death because, unfortunately, yes, there was a couple deaths. There was 2 deaths in the 2010s, 2000 to 2009. I believe there was a couple as well. They're all perfect storms when it happens, and there's just a lot of uneducated people, I think, out there that just automatically go from, oh, high-speed oval, death. And that just certainly normally isn't the case. But there is this thing that I think we've taken away from the drivers that, you know, the reason why they're climbing into these machines is because they're doing something that the average human, like myself, like Kyle, like David, I know you have your SCCA license, but whatever, can't do. So it's an ongoing argument, but I'd like to see one more oval where it really showcases the speed and the skill of the driver.
Well, I've said this forever, is that I think the schedule, I think there's a bit of a misnomer out there that, you know, you even hear the drivers say sometimes, which is that there's 3 types of tracks that IndyCar races on. No. There's at least 4, and maybe you could even make an argument that there's 5. But I'll say that for the sake of this argument that there's 4. You know, and even I got Alex Palou to say this after Iowa, because he talked about how important it was for him to win at Iowa versus the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and he said specifically the difference was as great as the difference between a natural terrain road course and a street course, between a short oval and a super speedway. And, you know, it's kind of weird where because Nashville's kind of a tweener track. Yes, cars can run over 200 miles an hour there. They can touch 200 at Gateway, by the way, too, but they run over 200 miles an hour at Nashville. But Nashville kind of races like a Milwaukee rather than races like an Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So, in my opinion, we really only have one true super speedway on the calendar, and that's the Indianapolis 500. Oh, yeah, that also happens to be the biggest race and the one that everybody cares about and the one everybody gets excited about. And the only reason the series exists, quite frankly, is that one race. So I think that's an underserved portion of the schedule, and it's something that, again, the entire sport is based around. The cars are designed to do. So, and yes, your options are limited right now. With the super speedways that you could theoretically go to, you could theoretically run, especially like, for example, and I don't believe that there's any super speedways necessarily in the running for next year. I mean, maybe Homestead, but that's about it. On short notice, it'd be very tough to put together a super speedway race. So, is it a problem that can be solved right away? No, but it's a problem that I think does need to be solved, because I think you should have open wheel thrills like the Indianapolis 500 more than once a year. I mean, I look at it this way. I've said this before, and I guess we're going to bring up IMSA a lot during this show, and that's fine. But the IMSA races that you really want to see are the endurance races, right? They all kind of, they're not all modeled after the Rolex 24. In fact, the Rolex 24 isn't even the oldest endurance race on the calendar, but it's, their biggest race is an attraction. And you do that sporadically throughout the year, kind of emulate that a little bit. And I think, in an ideal world, you would do that. You would do a big, fast oval I don't think you have to do it as much as you did in the IRL days, but I think 3 or 4 times a year, including the Indianapolis 500, I think would be good for the series.
I think a good transition from that, David, is to discuss the holdup in the 2026 schedule release, which was released this time. I think it was July 13th last year. Might have even been earlier. Might have been
June.
It was a June, so it might have been June 13th that it was released. Obviously, Mexico is a holdup, and we went from we're at the 10-yard. I think I mentioned this when you and I were talking about it on the show a few weeks ago. It's at the 15-yard line. You got to punch it in. You got to get it into the end zone. And you and I had heard anywhere from 80 to 95% done. As mentioned last week, Ricardo Escoto being out of Indy next and his dad kind of funding things, I think has somewhat to do with it. But I know there's some other issues that I've looked up as well. I know you have. So where do we stand at the latest on Mexico? And will we see IndyCar head south of the U.S. border in 2026?
If I was a betting man, I'd say no right now, where I sit. Right. I mean, again, and I don't bet, so that's good. But my feeling is no. So then you've got a lot to work out with the calendar, and it's nothing that we haven't talked about before. We know what's going on with Toronto. Most likely, they won't be able to use the racetrack that are at Exhibition Place that they used this year because of the World Cup in a date that they would have eventually have access to that facility in that space, but it's not going to fit in with their schedule as it is. So my understanding is that they're going to an airport somewhere else in Ontario, and someone specifically said to me this weekend, looked me dead in the eye. It was like a conversation with a bunch of different people. Looked me right in the eye and said, if you've complained about the fact that we don't go to Cleveland and you're not in Ontario next year, you better be there. And I said, all right, sold. So I don't know how much of the airport's going to be used. I've heard different interpretations of that. It could be like a St. Pete, or it could be like a Cleveland. I kind of hope it's like a Cleveland. Just don't make it Edmonton. I thought Edmonton wasn't a very good track. And then obviously we've got 2 races to fill with Iowa going away. My expectation is that's gone. So one of those was supposed to be Mexico. But if Mexico's not going to be there, then you've got 2 spaces to fill. One of those could be an oval. I would hope it's an oval. And the other one, if it's not Mexico, maybe this is where you get your Watkins Glen dreams and fantasies fulfilled. I don't know. It's tough.
I was going to say with NASCAR going to Watkins Glen this weekend, maybe we start hearing a little bit more into if a return for IndyCar to Watkins Glen is in the near future. You talk about replacing an Iowa with a Richmond. I don't see this. Do you see any chance they would run any type of doubleheader at any other oval race? Obviously, that would be Milwaukee. They're not going to do it at Nashville or maybe Gateway. I don't see it, but
if they get desperate, that's
I would say when you get down to it, there's always going to be that chance if they can't land a Richmond or a Phoenix, something along those lines that they would say, okay, well, we do what we got and we'll give that doubleheader weekend back to Milwaukee like we saw in 2024.
Yeah, but again, that feels very 2015 IndyCar, where they kind of where they put the kind of the cart before the horse started. And to their credit, they haven't announced anything, right? Like we didn't have the big reveal. Oh, we're going to Mexico. Oh, wait, we're not going to Mexico. Oh my God, doubleheader at the Indy Road Course. Like they haven't done that, but it does kind of.
It's probably what they're trying to avoid, honestly.
Yeah, and full credit to them for avoiding that. I mean, yes,
they've learned after the 4th time,
Well, if you hit a dog with a newspaper enough, after he pees on
the Brasilia in 2015. Remember?
I do.
The Boston Grand Prix. Remember?
So here's the fun fact about that Brasilia race. A lot of people forget this. Vitor Meira was going to race in it, and they were going to use the old DW12 body kit. They were not going to use the aero kits. So that would have been a bizarre race had that happened.
And that didn't get canceled until 2 weeks before the race.
Oh yeah,
that's like a deep thought. I want to sit down with some people in the sport and be like, hey, what is the full story on that? That is, good times. But yeah, they've learned after the 4 or 5 races that have been canned after being announced. Okay, yeah, Richmond last, that was COVID related, but another one. So
yeah, that was tough. I don't hold them accountable for that. I look at
but still, man.
Yeah.
That has to be like, because I'm just sitting here like going through all the tracks and looking like what seemingly there's still so much left to do. And so many races either gone, coming back. Like, how did we get here? It's August. Like, how did we get here? How are we still discussing this? And it doesn't even seem like we're close to a schedule being out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you get there from the standpoint of what you saw in the bleachers in Iowa. You get here by a delay in Mexico and some things with fuel issues getting over the border, some other things, obviously, what we talked about. Where's this money going to be coming from? It's unfortunate that we're at this standpoint. And then I think this is a perfect transition, guys. When we learned last week that IndyCar and Fox had came together, and Fox has bought 33% of IMS Productions, IndyCar, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which I would imagine probably maybe puts Roger pretty even on what he's put into the track since buying it. But I would say this: I think Fox said, "Look, we want this to take off. We want to be a part of what's happening. We are going to be committed to you now, obviously, through 2030. We want to be involved in the decision. We want to help market and help promote and push this. Let's make it happen." So, David, with that being said, would love to know your initial thoughts to that and what changes do you see coming with Fox now being 33% owner of the whole kit and caboodle?
Boy, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of things. I mean, my wish list, as I said in my video, is kind of I would hope that they would take the marketing and promotions side of the sport over. I don't know if that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, I think you might have mentioned the most important aspect to this whole deal, which is the fact that Fox bought in long term. I didn't know it was through 2030, so that must be breaking news. But there's a couple of different thoughts I have about this. I think to a certain extent, Roger was kind of forced to do this. Whether 100%. That was
100%,
whether that was through all the stuff that we saw in May, because I mean, let's be honest, even if maybe we didn't know officially it was going to happen, we certainly had those discussions, as you guys saw. From that DL 500 Club clip, I kind of put it together that, hey, if someone was going to buy the series, it would make sense that it would be Fox. I learned this weekend that apparently those talks have been taking place. I mean, like the paddock was surprised by the timing of this. They were not surprised that it happened. And a lot of this stems from that kind of late April, May, early June time period where all this stuff was kind of going down. And some of the shareholders and team owners were pretty upset. Another thing that's kind of been brought up a few times, again, it's not like this is an official reason, but I think if we're kind of, looking at the grand scheme of things, the big picture and saying, well, why would Roger sell to Fox? I think you look at the hard numbers right now, and you're going to have 700,000 people tune into any IndyCar race, no matter when it's on, what it's up against. Okay, that's great. But I think Fox kind of came to the conclusion of this is the ceiling for this current arrangement. So I certainly hope that means that Fox looks at, because essentially, I mean, Tony, you know this, and everybody should probably know this, is that really what Fox promoted this year was the Indianapolis 500. The rest of the series, I guess you could kind of say St. Pete too, right? Mm-hmm. So where were the two races we saw massive ratings increases? St. Pete, Indy 500, especially Indy 500, up 40%. I mean, like that was, you guys need to understand what I feel like we don't make enough of a big deal about how massive that TV number was for the sport, for the Indy 500 this year. It was exactly what the sport needed. Okay, that's great. But obviously, Fox cares more, and this is also good news, by the way, for the sport. Fox cares more about just the Indianapolis 500, and that's different than every other TV partner that the sport has had probably since 1996. So, do I think it's the best thing ever that the TV partner bought into the series? No. Is it like the absolute separation of church and state that I think some people want it to be? No. But I think there's a real opportunity here in some ways to get some fresh ideas, get some fresh people in there, and really try to turbocharge it. So I don't know. And by the way, to the people who are saying, or thinking there's going to be playoffs, and maybe Tony's one of those based on his Twitter. We'll see what Tony has to say about this. But like, think that Fox is going to, push playoffs or push, stages or try to change the product. That doesn't line up with the way they've treated IndyCar so far. And, are we pretending like just because they hadn't officially bought into the series, before they bought into the series, that they didn't have the negotiating power already to make changes if they so desired? They absolutely did. And so the fact that they haven't made those changes or pushed for those changes suggests to me that they believe in IndyCar, in what it is, and don't necessarily want to make massive sweeping changes to what it is, at least from their perspective. Now, are there massive sweeping changes needed in some respects? Absolutely. But I don't think it's Fox's responsibility to worry about what happens on the racetrack or worry about technical regulations. They should be worried about finding cities and racetracks and events that they can then promote, make feel like a big deal, and make us all a bunch of money. I think that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what everybody's hoping for with Fox buying a third of the series. But again, it's so early, and we have like 2 quotes in a press release to go off of. We just, nobody knows. People think that they know, but nobody knows exactly what's going to happen yet.
I'll say this. Obviously, we got to the end of last year, and playoffs were proposed, which is why I think...
Not by a TV partner. Not by a TV partner.
I don't think that Fox, up to this point in buying, I think they're learning. I think Eric Shanks knows what IndyCar is, and he's obviously a big fan, and he's been paying attention to what's going on. But I think now this gives him the power to go in with these ideas. Now, am I saying that these ideas will come to fruition and we'll see playoffs? No. But look, even if you have a playoff system, Alex Palou's still probably going to win. If you're looking, let's say we get to Nashville and they lay an absolute dud and there's 535,000 people that watch and there's nobody in that crowd, maybe then you say, okay, how do we make this last race something that is must watch, we have to watch? Maybe then a playoff would be talked about. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But I think if you're Fox, you have to come in, and I do think you have to worry about some of the on-track product because that relates to the ratings of your telecast. If the average fan tunes in and Alex Palou is up 12 seconds, the average fan is probably tuning out and seeing what NASCAR is doing, seeing what maybe Formula One or whatever else is on. Again, I'm not blaming Alex Palou for this. The three of us in this show, and I think a lot of people inside of IndyCar, just they love to see the way that he's been able to again be a champion, dominate the series. But I think Fox is going to go in and say, how do we make the rating better? How do we market it better? How do we make sure people tuning in stay and tune in to watch? As you mentioned, how do we get to new cities? How certainly do we market this better outside of a few things that IndyCar probably has done this year? I think there's a lot that goes into it, but now with some buying power, so to speak, I hope Fox goes to some of its partners that sponsor baseball and sponsor the NFL and say, hey, why don't you come check out IndyCar? This is an untapped market for you. And maybe we start seeing cars and liveries and sponsorships in the series that move the sport forward, that you, I, and everybody in this chat and everybody watching and all the fans can go out and go to a store and support, or can go to that sponsor and it's consumer friendly and we can continue. I think that's how you continue to grow the sport. It's ironic that the last 2 races have had 734,000 people tuning in. I think that's probably like where IndyCar is. There's obviously been some lower ratings. There's obviously been some higher ratings. But I do think it is Fox's responsibility to not leave a stone unturned when it comes to everything inside of IndyCar and moving the sport forward. Now, they only have 1 out of every 3 votes when these things are talked about or proposed or put on the table. Yes. But I think there's some creative genius that Fox brings to the table, and I think they're going to throw some of those things out.
I think the real good news in all of this is the fact that right now, this is the only motorsport that I can think of, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, that has a TV partner with a direct vested interest in its success.
Mhm.
So from that perspective, we always talk about, and I hate this word in racing because I think this word in racing sucks, but stability. You want to throw out the stability word. There's pretty much nothing more stable than being able to say, yeah, the TV company that broadcasts our races owns part of us, and therefore we are guaranteed not to fail until at least 2030, right? So if you go to a partner, maybe a partner you're trying to keep, and you say, hey, here you go. We are guaranteed we're good through 2030. And then you can say with Fox, and you brought up that point, Tony, I think, that Fox, because they have a vested interest in IndyCar now, can kind of help craft that schedule and make it even more easy to avoid NASCAR, because now Fox has a reason and an excuse to give IndyCar even more priority. They can go to some of the other sports properties that might demand a primetime slot. I'm not saying the NFL, but I'm saying other properties kind of in the spring and summertime, and say, hey, we own this. We're going to put it on. We're going to put it on at 8 p.m. to avoid NASCAR. Sorry. Get ready to learn FS1, buddy. And not IndyCar. By the way, Tony, you were talking all summer. Well, not all summer. It's still summer. Talking all spring about how IndyCar is going to end up on FS1. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we're at a point, and Kyle, we'll let you come in on this too as well, but I think we're at a point with Fox, like you said, it's an investment. They're ready to go. And you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid of things anymore. Obviously, they've been afraid of the NFL. They've gone up against the Masters. They've gone up against the Final Four, those type of things. But now it's got to be all in. And I think there will be some cross promotion with the first part of the season with NASCAR. I think if I'm Fox, how do I get people to attend and watch a race when we're also airing NASCAR? Maybe we see a return of the doubleheaders. I know a lot of people don't like that. They want to see NASCAR and IndyCar separated, but maybe we do see a difference in an approach. Maybe NASCAR says, hey, we're more willing to work with you now because Roger Fox is a partner of ours. We want to keep them happy because doesn't NASCAR have like 37 different TV providers? I think it's been like TNT, True TV, CW's got it. I mean, it's all over the place. It's crazy. But maybe they say, hey, well, maybe NASCAR is more open to coming to the table to try to work with Fox, with Roger Penske, and with IndyCar in the future.
Hey, Kyle, how about you jump in? Sorry, you've been silent forever.
No, I mean, absolutely. I'm back here doing my producer thing. Honestly, when the Fox news came out, I just kind of saw it. I actually didn't have the reaction. Like, I did not think twice about it. I was just like, yeah, cool. I don't know if anyone else had that same reaction. That was me. I literally saw it and I was like, yeah, cool.
I wasn't surprised. Oh I wasn't surprised. I was like, that makes sense. But that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I completely agree with what both of you are saying. Tony, you had an interesting tweet on
Tony had an interesting tweet.
That's all the time, right? Also, whatever you did with your mic a couple minutes ago, perfect.
Good.
Great job. We had Chubbs Peterson in the chat.
Chubbs, I got a
Hey, all right, Chubbs, baby, let's go.
We had Chubbs. Shout out. If anyone's seen the new Happy Gilmore,
I did watch it. I was highly disappointed. David's never even seen the first one.
I still need to watch Superman. The last movie I saw was the F1 movie, Toots.
But one of the many interesting tweets that Tony said immediately when it came out was, there goes the money excuse. And I'm very curious on that because like my number one, like my experience of like buy-ins like this, and minority investments is like you're not necessarily going to see an immediate money difference. It's not like they're going to go in and spend a ton of money, but like David said, they are now they are now incentivized to grow the sport to get back on what they did put in. So, I mean, yeah, Roger got some money back from his sale from buying the Speedway. He got some money out of it, but this doesn't necessarily mean that tons of money will be dumped into the sport. But Tony, what were your thoughts? Or David, it looks like you got a thought.
Well, I just want to say one thing, and I think the big headline that a lot of people are kind of not picking up on, and I tried to approach this in my video. I think I'm going to say it even stronger here. I think one of the big headlines is the fact that the Speedway and the series has not appreciated at all in value since 2020 when it was sold. I think that's because if you look at it split three ways down the middle, and if we assume that that's around the 125 to 135 million that was it Wall Street Journal? Was it Wall Street Journal?
Yes.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal reported that puts us at like 375, $400 million.
Yeah.
And that's the number that we all heard in 2020. It has not appreciated at all.
Because I think that 125 million, they did specify that it's like, like an actual number wasn't given, but like, said it was another one of those, but it was still not like, they're still not outright saying, hey, Roger paid this for the Speedway.
Yeah, but if they say we spent, like, are we okay, guys, let's go to journalism school really quick here, folks. I know it's a surprise. I did do that.
We're unverified. We don't talk about that.
Well, that's true. Rumors and speculation. But here's the deal: when you see a story and you see Roger Penske, Mark Miles, and Eric Shanks all quoted, but then there's one quote that's not attributed to them, but it's like sources understand or Wall Street Journal understands that the sale was somewhere around 125 to 135 million. Who do you think said it? I mean, come on, guys. Come on, man. Let's have a little bit of media literacy here. Come on. I mean, like, just trust that was not in that article for no reason. That was, all right? So we can pretty easily say that's what the number is. All right, sorry. Sometimes I just got to go off on that.
To Kyle's question, I would say this. When I was kind of figuring out what was going on, let's call it 2022, 2023, I had talked to some people about how come IndyCar isn't marketing how they should be. And a word that kept coming up from people that I know inside of the sport was budget. They can only budget for this. They can only budget for that, right? And I think the average person says, well, wait a minute, shouldn't marketing be a huge budget? I mean, even if you own a concrete company down the road, you still put aside a massive marketing budget. I'm not saying all of that money is going to go into that, but the number one question in IndyCar is how do you grow these races outside of the 500? How do you get the fans to pay attention to Detroit the next week? How do you get the fans to stay invested throughout the summer? And I think scheduling has a big deal of that. There's a lot of things that go into it as well. As far as the money use going away, I believe Fox has some ownership in DraftKings or FanDuel. I'd have to double check on that. But what I've been saying is basic, bare minimum type promotion. Get with companies that are household names in their respected fields. Get with the tops, upper deck, Paninis in the sports card world. Get with the FanDuels, the DraftKings, the daily DraftKings type of stuff when it comes to fantasy. Get a video game. My goodness, go partner with Lego. I mean, this is stuff that I've been beating the dead horse up and down on this show, up and down on my podcast discussing. Like bare minimum stuff, that's a good foundation right there. Those couple of things to really work on to move your sport forward. Obviously, some ties in with the NFL is going to be huge. Obviously, some ties in with your other things. I mean, I thought ABC there for a minute did a pretty good job of taking IndyCar drivers and putting them on Family Feud, which I believe was on ABC, putting them on Dancing with the Stars, which I believe was on ABC. There is some cross promotion. Let's get these guys into other shows, these drivers, and show off their personalities and say, hey, this guy is hilarious. How funny was Rinus VeeKay on the show a few weeks ago? Let him loose. Let him be unfiltered. And then, oh, by the way, this badass is going to strap himself into a rocket ship this weekend on Fox to go 215 miles per hour, maybe, or go up against 25, 26, maybe 28 this weekend, other crazy badasses racing. I mean, it's bare minimum stuff, I think, and I don't think it's asking too much. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but that's a hell of a start in moving your sport forward.
One thing I would challenge on that is that I don't think we should look to traditional TV. And I'm not saying, oh, we need influencers, but I think that there are other outlets that IndyCar drivers could be seen on that shows them to a more
100%.
Oh yeah, okay. Just making sure.
But my point is, you also have other Fox shows that probably doesn't cost you a damn dime to put them on. And I'm not saying run them through the ground or put them in any political type stuff, but there is cross promotion within Fox that can help both the sport, the series, Fox, and that said show. But yes, there are tons of other shows that they should be on. There are tons of other places that these drivers should land. And you look at some of these major TikTok shows and some of these comedian shows, and you see NASCAR drivers on there, and we're stuck with some influencer with 5,000 Instagram followers talking about the race at Laguna Seca and got 15,000 views. So the influencer thing, I mean, there is some outside of the box stuff that I would like to see. And hopefully, to be honest, to toot our own horn, I hope they see value in what we are doing to move the sport forward. Although sometimes people say we're way too negative, understand, but I think everything that we say is pretty fair, and it comes from a place of passion where we're putting our hard work and our energy and our hard-earned money into covering the sport for them.
Okay, can I throw I see a perfect transition point, but I want to throw kind of a last point on this Fox thing out. $125 million. You'd never see me again if I had $125 million. Sorry, guys. But to Fox, that is nothing. They essentially bought it for bought a third of it for chump change. So, and that's, to Kyle's point, I think a really, really important thing to remember is that while Fox has a vested interest in IndyCar and owns part of it, this is not suddenly going to be, we invested $125 million and now we're going to put $1 billion into this. That's not how business works. Because Roger, we talk about there's no funding problem. Ever since Roger bought it, there's never been a funding problem. There's been a funding approval problem, and that's the big difference. But I do think we should talk about what Jorai is talking about. Kyle, can you highlight that? Because this is a point that Kyle wanted to make, and I think we should talk about it.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that tweet.
Is it my time now?
As well.
Yeah, 8:36 p.m. Highlight that comment. Highlight that comment.
8:36.
Yeah, it's not his second comment, but his first comment. I don't know why I can't do it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruh,
Here we go.
YouTube
Get on
is free promotion. Every single motorsport series broadcast on YouTube. Le Mans got 1 million viewers at some point. Even small countries in Asia without TV coverage on YouTube get 10K people. Yes, sir. I actually made a PowerPoint, race fans. I did it.
Wow. So, we love a good PowerPoint.
Big news over the weekend. IMSA hits 1 million subscribers on YouTube. They gloated about this all over the place, like they should, because it's impressive. But what I did see is a lot of people making fun of IndyCar based on this, and we'll get to that. So since we're starting this a little bit differently, we should start with the point that IMSA broadcasts their races on YouTube to countries that, to other countries. In the US, it's on freaking, you couldn't watch Road America this weekend without having Peacock, which was stupid.
Or a VPN. What?
Oh, yeah, sure. But they actually do stream their races, which helps them. But I have made a whole PowerPoint on this. So IndyCar has 400,000 subscribers, right? IMSA just hit 1 million. And IMSA does live streaming on their YouTube. They do this Win the Weekend series, which you can see their most popular videos. What are they? Oh, it's Win the Weekend. You see 3.6 million views. That's insane. 2.9 million. They're all in the millions. That's insane. Also, their second biggest video, their most popular, the second most was the 2022 Michelin GT Challenge at VAR. That's crazy. Fun fact. But yeah, you'll see they're all in the millions. win the weekend, win the weekend. There's also some other gems here. But when you look at it, and you break it down, 3.6 million views, but only 7,000 likes.
Ratioed.
Interesting. Oh, and only 37 comments. So the interaction versus the views, it's not adding up.
Bought and paid for.
How do you do that? Yeah, I mean, there's other ways. I mean, I don't know about it. Because if I was buying viewers, you would know it. I would have a million viewers. I would be my own influencer. I'd be making money on my own YouTube channel, right? Like if I knew how to buy followers. But the best way that you can do this is you buy advertising. And I have seen IMSA advertisements on videos where you can literally just advertise said video, which that makes the most sense. And if that's what they're doing, if they're doing it in a nicer way, it's still buying viewers. If they're doing it in a nicer way, then fine, fair game. But this is more so not to kind of, go against the hardworking people at IMSA, but more so the people that are saying, what the hell is IndyCar doing? Because IndyCar is not buying viewers. Like that's when IMSA obviously is. So I did put up a tweet about this.
Well, can I say one thing about this real quick? From a back end YouTube thing. So you're right. The like, and that's the biggest tell you can tell with a YouTube video, whether it has been used as an ad or not, is that you will see that like or the interaction, right? So like engagement. That's the biggest tell. It's the likes and it's the comments. Now that being said, 7.3 thousand likes says to me there is absolutely an organic audience for Win the Weekend. This is not like yes, there are 3 million views there. That is not all people organically clicking on Win the Weekend. But I would say with 7.3 thousand likes, you're probably still around an organic audience of, I would say, somewhere in the range of, and again, it depends how engaging the content is. You don't know exactly what it is. But somewhere in that range of like 250,000 to 500,000 people tuned in legitimately and like because they wanted to. So that's still a pretty solid video on YouTube, especially in kind of our arena. But it's definitely not 3.6. If you saw a 3.6 million view video, that thing would have like 13,000 likes or more.
Yeah, it's I think the average I saw, because I did few looks on statistics on videos, and like you would see like 90,000 to 100,000 on average for like a 3 million viewed video. The ratio of likes to views is, to give you perspective, is 0.202%. Like that's, I don't know. I had to give a backstory. Tony, what were you going to say?
I would just say this, and this is obviously not YouTube, but on my social media, it's usually 20% views to likes, and that can be on any videos from 1,000 to 10,000 to, I had a video get a million views, and I think it had about 21,000 likes to it. So people view it, but they're scrolling. They're not taking the time to tap and like.
Yeah,
they sure as hell ain't taking the time to follow and interact.
I think Nuke Shot has a really important point real quick, is that the better comparison is the views that IMSA gets on the live streams of their races, which I think that's where the subscriber growth has come from, which I think you've got a slide for later on, Kyle. But like, the Win the Weekend is like a promotional thing, and I think it's treated as that, meaning treated as essentially like an hour-long
and also
advertisement.
When it's presented by Michelin, and you're able to put advertisements on it and say, hey, Michelin, we got 3 million views on your video. Isn't that cool? That's pretty cool, right? But to give a backstory, there's a lot of people using IMSA getting 1 million subscribers to kind of downplay IndyCar and kind of throw it back in IndyCar's face. And I don't agree with that. I put out a tweet because I feel like a lot of people looking at the growth of IMSA, I think they're not the most, or like unknowing that they're doing this. Because when you look at this, I've done YouTube and, worked with you, David, worked with Car Chaser on social media. I look at analytics. This is my job. I can tell you just from experience, this doesn't add up. This is like, they're not doing this fully organically. But to David's point, and on the point of when they started live streaming, this was just a huge stat, incredible stat, and a reason why IndyCar should be live streaming again on their YouTube channel, by the way, which I hope is something Fox might, because I think Fox has started looking into that a little bit. I think they've done like the morning warm-up sessions, which, in their eyes isn't really, they're not really showing cars on track. It's more like a talk show, but it's still a W to put it on YouTube, because if you look right here, 16,000 subscribers, and this is like their month of May, right? This is when the Rolex happens. 16,000 subs gained January 2024. This year, 150,000. That jump year to year is insane. Like, that's just, I don't know what else to compare that to, but I believe one year they were live streaming, or it was fairly new, and the next year they were. David, I don't know if you.
When were they? What are you asking specifically?
Did they live stream on YouTube in the 2024 Rolex? Do you remember?
No. The first race they live streamed, if I remember correctly, was Sebring 2024.
Well, see, bang, there you go.
So
yeah. This turned more. This went from the PowerPoint was more of a look. Don't throw this back in IndyCar's faces for them getting a million subscribers to IndyCar. You should live stream on YouTube as well.
Just to think about this, IMSA hit this milestone of 100,000 subscribers. They did 10% of that in 1 month, and most likely 2 weeks.
And a year from now, or a year ago from now, they had 370,000 subscribers. To also give you another thought of it can turn that fast and change that quickly. I mean, holy shit.
I think Fox, I know that they do, I think Nuke Shot mentioned it, they do the first 10 laps on Instagram, because that's how I was watching during the Brickyard 400, and they also do live onboard cameras, which is a cool, different way to approach and look at the race. I would say this, and I would be down to try a trial run of this, because we kind of already do this anyway, but you want to get people to your YouTube and have subscribers, whether it's IndyCar and Fox or IndyCars. Why not a post-race show that streams on YouTube? We could have, it may take away from the views that we are getting simply from doing our interviews afterwards, and I try to get them up and post them as quickly as possible. But how about a YouTube post-race where, I think NASCAR does it, where they kind of sit there, and you could have drivers. Hell, David and I, we could sit at the desk and send Kyle loose to go interview some drivers, and we could have drivers come up to the desk and have talk to the winner. Let's have an hour post-race show, because usually on most broadcasts you only hear from the top 3, whereas most fans, I think, would love to hear from somebody who maybe drove from 24 to 7.
Peacock has already, not Peacock, Prime has already started bringing that back for NASCAR, and look at how it was actually, I think, pretty successful this year.
Call us, Fox. We're kind of already doing it. We'll do it for you. Just get us there. Let's make it happen. We're here for you.
Oh, well, no, pay and travel and pay, please. Travel and pay. Somebody pointed out in the chat. I lost the comment, but I think there's a really important point, at least for me as a YouTuber, to kind of point out, is that why is there? They need to pick one channel, by the way, too. They need to stop uploading things on IndyCar on Fox and IndyCar. Yeah. Why are there 2 channels? There's not enough viewers right now to sustain that. You need to pick one or the other, and especially now that you're the same, you gotta pick one. Pick one to grow, and then stick to that. I do absolutely agree. I feel like I've been saying this. All of this stuff. I'm so tired, Kyle.
I made a PowerPoint. I was so tired.
I'm so tired. I feel like my entire shtick since 2017 to 2019, David, especially, my real rascally rabbit days. I laid this all out. I laid it all out. I did it for free. I was like, here you go. Here's what you should do, and just no one listened.
Hey, also, while we're on that topic.
Oh no. Oh no.
Where is it? There it
is.
Yeah,
guys.
Go to the
best
slide of the night.
Hey, while we're looking at stats,
check it out, race fans.
I found this stat. This is all free and public information, by the way. that during the month of May this year, David Land, in the quest to 100K, hits, reached 6,800 gain in a month, and IndyCar gained 16,000. We lost this round, David. But like
I shouldn't be anywhere close.
We probably should lose that battle. And you know what? When you look at it, we didn't lose that bad. Like we didn't like.
No. Can we go back to how much IMSA gained in 2024 when they weren't doing anything? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Okay. So that lines up like perfectly. Actually, I didn't realize it was exactly the same number.
Yep. Yeah. So like IMSA's month of May last year, they gained 16K. IndyCar during the actual month of May gained 16K.
So theoretically, if you started showing things on YouTube and doing like live hits from the racetrack,
then maybe we'll hit 1 million. And then also when you hit 1 million, the IndyCar should absolutely post that, hey, we hit 1 million subscribers, because then they get good publicity for once. Well, I'm ready for that day.
So here's the other thing about IMSA that I remember is that specifically they passed IndyCar in subscribers at last year's Petit Le Mans.
Yes.
So wherever IndyCar is, and obviously they've gained a little bit since then, like that's where IMSA was in October of last year. And so now we're in the very early stages of August of this year, not even a year later. And they've not only passed IndyCar, they've hit 1 million.
We need to change up the content on IndyCar's YouTube channel, which I could go on for a long time about. Maybe we will.
What, you don't think Java with James is like the most engaging?
I think it's good content. I think there's a place for it, but we need more like racing fan content. We need more like, again, we've talked about this before on the show. We need like the F1 videos where it's like this weekend at Portland, we should have had like a top 5 weirdest moments to ever happen at Portland, or like,
I think Fox IndyCar on their socials has done a pretty good job.
Yeah, they do a good job, but you need to put that on YouTube. Make it a YouTube video and do it on the official IndyCar channel. Like David said, don't pick one.
Well, but that's the thing is that YouTube is almost not even social media. YouTube is broadcasting.
Yeah.
Like literally what we used to call YouTube is broadcast yourself. It wasn't do a TikTok dance. Like you can.
Yeah. Comments are mad at you, by the way, David. They'll have no Java with James. I agree with them. I agree with them.
That's fine. You know what? Agree with them. That's fine. That's fine. Or Mountain Dew, depending on who you are. But like again, I'm not slandering it. I'm just saying that you need more than just that. Like that's all it is right now. If that's the best content on the IndyCar YouTube channel, we're in trouble. We need a little bit more. And to the point that Tony made, I don't care if it's me hosting it or not, or you, or God knows who. But I think you need. I mean, doesn't IndyCar own a production company? Like, where's the show, right? Like, put some people in the studio in Speedway and have them do a post race show. It wouldn't be that expensive to produce, especially if you already own all of the equipment. Or hire somebody. What's Jan Bikus doing these days?
Great.
Have Jan Bikus walk around.
No.
What's wrong with Jan Bikus?
Tony.
I will no Jan Bikus.
I will have no Jan Bikus slander.
It needs to be Professor D Land. I've been trying to pitch this. You would be so good at going into the details and asking the questions of, hey, why did this happen? Why did your car break? Why did this happen?
That's because I'm neurodivergent.
There you go. That should be all year. That should be all you. That should be. It should be Professor Landmine.
While we're on the topic of marketing, and I still have a PowerPoint on the screen, which I've had for a while. We've gotten off track a couple of times. I have one thing, and David is also on board.
Oh God.
We need to talk about IMSA's marketing campaign right now. Move over. We need to discuss this. This needs to be talked about on this show. And I'm pissed.
Why are they showing that cheating IMSA car?
Oh man.
Oh no, don't.
So, for those unaware, not on social media, IMSA released this marketing campaign called Move Over. You'll see it on the freaking bridge in the photo that I'm showing right now.
That's actually on the bridge. It looks like
they put it on the bridge.
They actually put it on the bridge. It's they took the marketing campaign and they physically did it. And what's funny is they had to have planned this out, but the week that they released this was the week after the Paul Miller BMW. It was the week after the Rolex when the BMWs wrecked everybody, and it was just like a picture of either the Corvette or the BMW, and it just said "Move Over." Like,
But by the way, the BMWs wrecked everybody at
yeah,
Road
yeah,
America
they
too.
still
Okay.
keep doing it. They
Yeah,
keep
okay.
doing it. Yeah.
Sorry,
Their marketing campaign is Move Over, and it really felt reminiscent to a couple of marketing campaigns that I remember from my childhood and into my adulthood. And if anyone from IMSA is watching or listening, I just want you to watch all of this that I'm about to show you and learn from someone else's previous mistakes. In IndyCar, I'm sorry, you have to be the one that gets picked on right now, but you have had some terrible marketing campaigns, and I'm even leaving out I Am Indy. All right, number one.
Hold on.
Rivals.
Let me stop you. They paid Homeboy from Kiss like $2.2 million
Say that.
for him to do that. That was brutal. Sorry, no Rexy slander. Shout out Kelly. We like that team. Go on.
We've slandered everybody this show. God,
Yeah,
it's
not
we
good.
like Kelly. She's a cool chick.
I'm sorry, IndyCar. We've had some terrible campaigns. I'm going to start this off by just saying I hate these one-liner campaigns like Move Over, like, and then all the ones you're about to see. I hate them. Like, it doesn't help you grow at all. It doesn't matter. It never sticks. Like, why are we doing this? Indy Rivals. Just go on YouTube and search hashtag Indy Rivals and go through every video, man. Like, they did this for 2 years. This was 2015. This was 3 years. This was 14, 15, and 16. And damn, it was terrible. It was awful.
They loved that.
They loved Indy Rivals, and they really thought that hashtags were going to take off, and they were a big thing. Hashtags are only big if it's viral. All right.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything if it's just you doing it, buddy.
Okay, can I be neurodivergent really quick?
Okay.
Look how freaking trimmed out Will Power is versus every other car. Like, he's running so much less wing than every other car. Sorry. Okay, there we go.
Wow.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Like, he's trimmed. He's trimmed.
You got the job, David. You're Professor Landmark.
All right, number 2. Then in 17, after 16, it was what happens next. We had Indy next. All right.
Wait, they were doing it.
They were doing Indy next.
Wait a second.
They got rid of the E, though. They got rid of the E.
They did this whole year. 2017, when we had the frozen arrow kits, it was an entire year of focusing on the next year. We weren't focused on 2017, damn it. 2018 was all that mattered. It was the savior. We were going into 2018. All right. And then this was IndyCar now.
Where's all the arrow kit parts?
Exactly. This is when we went to the new car and we were like, hey, look, guys, we have a new car. And
you mean the new body kit?
They were really into this like kaleidoscope looking like footage. They would like do all this weird stuff. Like I didn't know how to feel. I had to mute this one because they used a copywritten song.
Where was the Move Over bridge?
They did a filming day at IMS. You can see all the footage with Hinch. And it was the first time that they did a filming day with the cars at the Speedway since 2012.
Yeah.
And then they used, just like they did with the 2012 footage, they used this footage for the next like 3 years until they couldn't. So amazing. Absolutely incredible marketing campaign. IndyCar now. Gotta love it. God bless them.
Was it IndyCar now or IndyCar next?
Well, remember, so 17 was next, and 18, remember this? The slow-mo ease off.
Oh, yeah.
One car airborne. Yeah, okay.
Was that Nicky? I think it was a Nicky Ullman call.
Yeah, that was Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, look at this kaleidoscope stuff they were doing.
Hell of a call.
Oh, look,
it wasn't
Texas.
Cool.
Texas at night. Remember that?
It really.
Wait, I thought we weren't supposed to promote crashes, and we don't want to see people getting hurt.
Oh, but they did. Oh, but they did. Look at this. What are they doing? What is the? That's kind of cool. But like,
are you saying that does this beat when they had John Mellencamp go out in a car around Bloomington?
This is better than John Mellencamp. Yeah.
And then they handed you the VHS.
Everybody's favorite. Everybody loves this. So this is actually phenomenal. I love this. So was this 2020?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
We did this in 20.
No, it's 2019. It's 2020 because Hurt is in the capstone. Yeah.
We kept it for 2020, but this was
this is 2020 because he's in the cap.
Yeah. What did we do?
Pato's driving for McLaren and Colton's in the capstone. Yeah.
But we were a different breed in 2020. And the amazing thing about this is
somebody got a promotion for this, by the way. I bet
is we had Matt Damon doing the voiceover. And I'm allowed to play the audio of this one because IndyCar went through, I don't don't know if it's
from
IndyCar
failure.
themselves. I want to know the backstory behind it.
Not
They
everyone wants to
actually
wrestle a
had
1500
like a
pound
DJ
animal
or
with
a
no
guy
power
named
steering.
Mac J
Take 5
make
Gs
a
in the neck
song for
and
this.
go toe to toe
So they
with 20
produced
other
their own
daredevils.
song. They had Matt Damon.
Not everyone gets behind the wheel.
Yet the best
knowing
thing that they
today
could come
define
up
the
with
rest
as
of your
a
life.
3-word tagline is a different breed.
All because
Like,
something inside says.
Well, David
"I
just
can
found out this
and
week
I
that
won't
John
stop."
Cena's the voice of Honda.
I did not know
how
that.
did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
It's a banger song. Honestly, this video makes me want to run through a brick wall. So the only thing to know from
Not
Honestly, it's kind of a banger. I'm not gonna
It
lie.
is. No, it
The
is.
kind
The
of a
only thing I
banger.
want to know from this marketing campaign, also
No,
the
there was a
random-
cheetah.
the random
There's a-
cheetahs
there's
are
a damn
hard.
cheetah.
Is if you watch this part back,
It's
I want to
Phoenix.
know. I want to know if they had sprinklers or if they filmed in the rain. Look, it's raining.
Oh,
That-
yeah, they
that's-
definitely. It's
yeah.
That's Chris Owens with a garden hose.
Yeah, with a
That's what
garden
that
hose.
is. Yeah.
That's all I want to know. But okay,
Yeah.
but like that's what's the most like sad about this. Is Matt Damon. It's actually a video that's really hype, but a different breed is such a. Everyone agreed at the time. We were like, "What the hell are we doing? A different breed."
I
It's
like
not
how
as
young
bad
Regis
as
looks.
Defy Everything though. It's
Oh,
not as bad as Defy Everything. Defy
Oh, that was
Everything, I
tough.
think, was the worst one. Worse than Different Breed because we didn't have Matt Damon with this one. We just had a shitty marketing campaign.
Full speed ahead would have been better than this.
that was
Yeah.
also when it was like the COVID era, right? So like it was like the mask time, and so like saying
Yeah.
defy everything was like kind of like a weird thing to
Chat's,
say.
chat's really saying they really enjoyed that promo. See, I really did too.
Oh
But-
no, I thought that was the
but
best one that they did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best promo, but the tagline, "A Different Breed," terrible, awful. Come up with
Yeah.
something else. Like
Let's go back to I Am Indy.
No.
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 So
No.
yeah, Defy
joke.
Everything I think was the worst though. They really ran into a lot of jokes with this one. They hit a brick wall here. It was not good. They had another video series. It was just not good. See,
So is this year the fastest racing on earth, or does IndyCar have their own?
I think it's fastest racing on earth.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of
What? on
So
earth?
you're asking, does good marketing even exist in auto racing? I think it does. The only tagline
we did it well.
The only tagline that was good, that is hard, I think, Engineered Insanity F1.
I didn't even know that
good.
was a tagline.
That was a
in
good
F1.
one. Oh, go back to like 2019. Look up the Engineered Insanity video that goes with this. It's incredible. It's amazing.
Okay, hang on a second. I need to hit the brakes on this. I need to hit this brakes on this whole freaking segment.
Mhm.
Why does anyone because I feel like you've just given an incredible and not even we're not even.
You're welcome.
I guess this was in the last 10 years because we were looking at DW12s with the arrow kit on them. So I guess in the last 10 years, you've given me examples of almost 10 different marketing gimmick phrases, and absolutely none of them have done jack
I
diddly.
remembered every single one of them and lived through them, and I can tell you pinpoint like I just did because I'm neurodivergent.
Okay, yes. That's fine. You know what? We like neurodivergent people here. But I'll tell you what. Absolutely none of those phrases have done jack diddly shit.
No,
Okay,
that's the
just
point.
just
Yeah.
okay.
That's why
all
I'm
right.
saying.
Do we even
IMSA
need a phrase? I mean, fastest racing on earth, I guess. That hasn't really taken off
That's
as
why,
much as I think
David,
thought it
this
was.
was all a mission to help save IMSA. All right, I'm doing all this to say, look, 10 years later, nobody else besides me, because it was pretty much all these phrases were basically just built for 18-year-old Kyle to really enjoy, and nobody else because it didn't pick up. But like IMSA, nobody remembers Indy Rivals or any of these. So get rid of Move Over. It doesn't matter. You're wasting your time, and it looks stupid. You look stupid doing it. Like, don't do it.
Can we get more PowerPoints on this show from you, Kyle?
Absolutely. No.
Honestly, that was
not the
super
last. Yeah.
informative. That was
Yeah.
what
That
a trip
brought
down
back some
memory
bad
lane.
memories. That brought back some bad memories.
The next one,
Yeah.
I'll come back in a few weeks on a whole PowerPoint about the Iconic project. We'll
Oh God.
yeah.
Hey,
I walked-
Hey David, what's the
What?
what's the Houston Dynamo tagline this year?
The what?
What's the Houston Dynamo tagline this year?
Brother, I didn't know John Cena was the voice of Honda. I don't even know what the hell the Houston Dynamos are. I'm going to be honest with you, buddy. I'm
You
going
know
to be
what?
honest.
Do you know why I'm asking you that?
I have no idea.
Think about where were you at over the weekend?
I was in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Yep, there you go.
That's their tagline was that they're in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Anyway, no, think of an individual that would be in the mafia. Anyway, we're moving on to Portland this weekend. There is a race. Is anybody going to beat Alex? Let's just ask the same question we've been asking for weeks. Is anybody going to beat Alex Palou? And will he indeed wrap up the championship? I say nobody beats him, and he wraps up the championship in victory circle.
Well, yeah, I think he wins the championship. I don't know if it's one of those situations where you start the race and you win the championship. I don't think we're quite there yet.
No,
not quite.
But I don't know. I need to look this up. Oh, I'm going to go to my best pal, the Champ Car stats, because I want to look up how Pato has done, and really just in general the McLarens have done the last couple of years at Portland.
well, I think, I mean, it's been a primarily Ganassi-dominated track, I believe. It was that 1 year, 23 or 22, that Rahal won the pole and led a bunch of laps, but that's about it. I think Palou won that race.
Oh boy,
Pato won here. I know that they've had five of the last six races have been won by different drivers, and 6 of the last 6 you've had a different pole sitter. I think Santino was on the pole last year.
Yeah, Sato won in 2019, but that
he did.
He did. He won the return race. No, McLaren was poopy doo doo here. Unfortunately, Rossi was the highest finisher in 10th, and Pato was 15th. Siegel was 21st. So yeah, I think the chances of us, because I mean ultimately we're kind of delaying the inevitable here. We're not really. So Pato was 4th in 23, but I think we're delaying the inevitable here. Really, I mean, this is the question is going to be: is a championship going to be crowned in Portland, or is it going to be crowned in Milwaukee? I think that's really what we're getting
for us. I hope it's for me and David. I hope it's Milwaukee because we'll be there.
No, actually, I hope it's Portland, but I can't say any more than that.
Am I not allowed to go?
Huh?
Am I not allowed to go to Milwaukee?
I thought you were going to Portland.
No. I'm going to Milwaukee, and I would never miss Milwaukee or Nashville.
No, my living will, and I was telling people in Wisconsin this weekend, is my living will is that if I die between now and then, we're taking my casket to Milwaukee, and I'm still going to be in Milwaukee, whether I'm dead or alive. I'm going. And by the way, that's a marketing tagline that they could use. Go to Milwaukee, whether you're dead or alive. There you go. Just show up.
While they play "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby, Right Round" behind you.
Sure, you guys, we can play "Spin the Casket." If I'm dead. God almighty.
All right, let's pick some winners this weekend. And, I got to be honest here, and maybe you have something, David. I know we kind of talked about Mexico earlier on in the show, but not a lot in the Dude Bro Sources category yet.
No. I mean, there's a couple of things that I heard in Road America. Nothing I can really go into yet. I would say. I think the biggest thing that really we can kind of talk about right now is like schedule and Fox, and we already talked about that. But yeah, I mean, like let's not beat around the bush. There's definitely some bigger things coming. I think some decisions that need to be made here in the next couple of months. But nothing has changed yet. So that's where I'll leave that.
And that's okay because we need October content. In November.
Oh, well, we're definitely going to get that.
In January.
I thought we're definitely going to have September content, that's for sure.
No comment. No comment.
I think Palou wins this weekend. I think he wins the race, wins the championship. And then we'll see how that makes Milwaukee look, because I still think there's legitimately, and you'll probably disagree with me, David, because I know how you like to disagree on these things. Legitimately 6 to 8 drivers going into Milwaukee that I think could win a race, win that race.
I think that's about the right number. That's what it was last year. So yeah, no, I think Milwaukee will be great. I think if you want to go watch an auto race, well, we're going to have 2 great auto races to finish the season. I think Milwaukee and Nashville will both be as good as they were last year. I mean, like, if you don't like auto, I mean, here's what I don't understand. And actually, this was a discussion that came up this weekend in IMSA. Because IMSA obviously has a big event to finish their championship, Petit Le Mans. So, like, yes, the championship comes down to the last race more often than not, but, like, even if it doesn't, it's still effing Petit Le Mans, and it's one of the best, to me, it's one of the best races in the country. and it's one that gets a crowd every year, and people are excited for, and the teams are excited for. They want to win. I think we kind of started making moves to make Nashville that last year, but Nashville doesn't feel like we've got the same level of hype around it. And I get that the championship isn't a factor this year, but yeah, we need to make an event.
Couple things I'll mention here in the chat. Yes, Rob Edwards came out with a quote last week in Racer saying that Marcus Ericsson would be back in that car in 2026. What did you expect him to say? Would be my words of wisdom. He's going to say that about a driver that's under contract. He's not going to talk about speculation. He's not going to talk about the possibility of a buyout.
He's not going to break a contract in the media.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Just like Will Power hasn't talked too much about his upcoming moves or his contract in the media yet as well. I checked both Milwaukee and Nashville ticket sales, both looking okay. I think there's still a lot of room to go, but they're looking okay, I would say. Obviously, anything's better than Iowa, but based on looking at the website the last couple of days, it looks pretty decent to have good crowds in both Milwaukee and Nashville.
Boy, that was depressing this weekend to see the NASCAR crowds at Iowa.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Indeed. All right, Kyle, final thoughts. What do you got going on this weekend?
Someone asked me in the chat at the beginning of the show if I was going to go to Knoxville. I tried. I asked David if he wanted to go, and he wanted to leave the weekend open. I'm not going. I'm going to spend another weekend.
No, I ain't going to that shit.
I tried. I'm going to get David to go to a Knoxville Nationals at some point in his life, but it's going to happen. Like, that's a great race.
DeHardy will go with you.
I'm sad to miss it, but I will miss it, and I will be at home again for the second one.
DeHardy and Front Stretch will go with you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having a good time. Like, I kind of needed a little 2-week reset. It's kind of nice, just being at home. And, yeah, it was.
What's that like?
Yeah, I was on a boat last Saturday. Went to see Chris Stapleton on Friday. He played the F1 first. It was amazing.
David, what's that like? This dude, David Land, will be right where you see him starting September 1st through. We'll pull him out in December to go to the show downtown, PRI. We'll pull him out in January. Then we won't see him until
Hang on a second. I got a few things in the winter I'm cooking. I'm going to be at Petite in October.
Yeah.
Most likely, it sounds like I'm going back to Vegas for Formula One at least, and maybe I'm going back to Vegas for Super Dats. Hey, Xander, call me. But I listen. My year's starting to get. I mean, like, it's been crazy. I actually thought about how just insane I've been, like, since Indy. I think I had one weekend where I've been home since Indy.
Yeah.
And even then, I went to IRP. You dragged me out of the house for that, Tony. So thank you very much. And I haven't been home for an entire week. And quite honestly, I kind of feel weird not going to Portland this weekend. Like, I feel like I should be going to Portland and I'm not, but you know what? I took care of all my business, the rest of the races, and there's really not a reason this year to go to Portland. So hopefully next year, fingers crossed. But
maybe your $8 million check comment last week didn't go well with somebody that would possibly send us out there. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I was worried about that. I wasn't worried about that one. But I'm still not going to be home this weekend. What's kind of cool is that I'm going to be able to spend some time with some family members of mine. So that's going to be cool. I will still cover Portland. And for those of you in the DL 500 Club, that means, hey, we're doing DL 500 Club tomorrow. And I should also be streaming that race with you guys on that. So if you want to watch the race with me.
I'm going to show up at your house on Sunday.
I'm not going to be there.
You give our boy Dave some money, and now, like, when we don't go to the races, we don't get to watch the races with Dave in person.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be in the state, guys. I'm leaving again.
Oh. All right. Well, if you didn't know that David is in Europe for a couple weeks and he likes to travel, now you know there's your travel.
I don't know if I like to travel. I think didn't we establish on the last show?
Hates to travel.
You better be racking up the Southwest or Delta point.
Listen, if you've ever flown with Dave, you know that he doesn't like to travel. He is just the greatest travel buddy. He, like, on a plane, like, just an absolute spud of positivity and joy that emits from him. He loves it. He loves flying.
I hate airports, except for when we race cars on them, and occasionally, by the way, Automobilista put ramps on Cleveland. I'm just saying, fuck it, that's unbelievable. But unless we're racing on airports, I don't like them. I don't like planes. I get hot and uncomfortable on them. And then it gets too bumpy, so they can't do service. So then you're just sitting there getting dehydrated and bloated because the plane is out in the air and the air pressure's changing, and that sucks. And then you're sitting next to a fat guy who doesn't understand that he needs to like put his elbows on both of the. It's like, brother.
And that's it for Unverified. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back next week with more coverage of David hating to fly. For Kyle, for David,
I didn't even get to talk about TSA.
Well,
I mean, my God.
You can save that for the DL 500 Club tomorrow night. Check it out. And we'll see you next week at Unverified.